Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those legal groups that make laws, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you elected, and the committees and the commissions that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you were watching TV that night and didn't decide to go to the meeting. So that's why we're here.
And other reasons, too. We are looking for humor.
Humor.
You think we could find it in a political meeting?
At the highest and lowest level.
We could. It kind of either bubbles to the top or it's like a volcano, right? And if not, it's silent. It goes under the waves, and those are the ones you got to watch out for out there, folks. And if you don't attend those meetings, like you said, things could happen.
Maybe you should have.
Right. So, well, let's talk about a couple of meetings that's came up lately, and that would be the Village Oxford Downtown Development Authority, DDA, and also the Village of Oxford Planning Commission meeting was the second. Yep. So let's talk about the DDA meeting.
Okay.
Shall we do that?
Sure.
Okay. You know that Joe Frost is the executive director
for
that board. He's doing a pretty good job too, by the way.
Yeah.
He doesn't, chair the meeting. That would be Pete Schultz. He's the fire chief, of course. And speaking of guys that run a pretty good meeting, Pete does also a good job, don't you think?
That's right.
Okay, that was a trick question. I wanted to hear
Well,
what
that's
you'd
true.
say.
And if anything comes up, he puts out those fires too.
He does. Okay, he's a good guy to have on this board because in the past it has had, fires.
That's
And
true.
maybe that's why he was, elected to this position. What do you think? Could be?
I think so.
All right. So anyway, I opened the meeting, of course, with
Doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, no. With the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
Okay, got all the preliminaries out of the way. The agenda was approved. They, of course, get that information in advance so each of the members can review it, making it a little faster and easier.
So they know what they're in opposition to when they raise their hand.
Right, absolutely. And also, then they did the minutes, which they
Right.
always do,
Yep.
for last month, and that would have been for June 20th.
Oh.
And that was approved right away. They said, is there any public comment? You know how that went.
That's right, looking at those shoes.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to speak up all about
There were people there, right?
There were people there.
Okay, good.
There were, yeah. Not only the people on the board, but there were other people.
Well, they're important
you
too,
want to talk about people, right? Okay. So anyway, there were no public comments. Executive Director Joe Frost gave his presentation of what's been going on. He says, hey, Pokemon has been pretty popular in the neighborhood. He said the games...
But look up occasionally. There could be traffic.
Yeah, it could be, especially on 24. Whoops, got another one. Right, it could be dangerous. And
You ever see that YouTube that's called Guiding Hand, where it takes people like that and sort of assigns someone to them to guide them along as they're buried into their little cell phone?
I've not seen that. Is that kind of a dream you had in the past?
Oh, no. Well, it's kind of a Jimmy Fallon put on, but
Oh, I see.
it has its place, I think.
I would think it does. You want to put it in that place, please, right now?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so Joe said, well, a number of things are going on, of course. The Pokemon thing is attracting more business downtown. Pokemon.
Yes, man.
How come they spell it man, M-A-N?
No,
Is it Pokemon, M-O-N?
M-O-N.
Is it really? Oh, okay. We'll trust his authority on this one until
I
we
got
find
that
out
straight
different.
from Hokey Pokey.
Hokey Pokey. Well, that's how it got started, the
That's
Hokey
right.
Pokey? Okay.
That's right.
Anyway, that being said, he said that has actually brought business downtown, which is kind of interesting. And they keep running into windows and doors, and like you say, walking out the
Is
street.
it that kind of business?
Right. It has really improved the ambulance business in town, I can say.
Yikes.
Right. Anyway, so he also said that the concerts in the park have been very successful, and he wanted to remind everybody that from 7 till 9, they have performances every Thursday. And actually from 6 to 7, if you're talented out there and you want to play the guitar or bring
Make a
your
fool of
piano
yourself.
bring your piano and drag it on the stage, I mean, you can do that.
Is it like the Gong Show where they have a hook and no?
No, but that's a good idea. I think that would be good.
Yikes.
What is it, the unknown comic that used to put the...
Oh, the bag over his head?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bag over his head, yeah. Now that's the way I would do it because I'm pretty sure that the entertainment wouldn't be all that great. So
well,
you want to have
actually,
that bag, right?
You never know. There's a lot of talent that just sits there and has that opportunity to get up on stage and
There is.
and do their thing.
And actually, one of our own people, Russell Courier, that does editing here, and he directs different programs.
I think I just saw his ears perk up.
He actually plays pretty good guitar, and he gets up occasionally.
Yeah,
and plays
sings
guitar.
pretty good too.
Oh, I haven't heard him sing, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. We'll get him in the choir at St. Joe's or something, one
Wow.
of the other churches. We got to talk to him, though.
I'm sure.
All right.
I think he's hiding now.
By the way, Russell,
I think he's hiding.
St. Joe's priest will be looking for you next week.
Oh, dear.
This guy sings on the choir, so that's the reason why I brought that up. That's something they didn't know about you, right?
Another thing.
Another thing, okay.
Another thing.
Okay, well, let's get back to Joe Frost, shall we? He said that comments about Dave Weckel, he's heard quite a bit and wanted to know, remember that project on Burdick Street?
Oh,
East
yeah, he
Burdick?
has 3 office buildings he wants
Yeah,
to build.
Right. Well, at this time, Joe said there's not a lot going on, that there's not actually an approved site plan yet that's been in front of the Planning Commission. So he was
Okay.
just kind of giving a review of that. We pretty much knew that, didn't we, at this point?
Of all the people that come into the Planning Commission, Dave really has his T's crossed and I's dotted. But
Yeah.
there's some things they have to work through, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's pretty thorough about it. Yeah. So anyway, so that'll come about, I'm sure, probably by this fall at the latest. Fall, that's right around the corner, isn't it? It's almost here.
Oh my gosh. It's 7:29. Oh,
Is it
no.
sitting on fall yet, or is it still summer? Okay. Boy, that's-
August
Yeah.
is right around the corner.
It is.
Pretty soon the leaves will be changing color,
Yeah, I become another year older.
deeper in debt.
Well, that could be too. I don't know. I have to check with my wife on
Peter,
that one.
don't you call me because I can't go. Never mind.
Yeah, there is. Anyhow, he said that there's no formal site plan, so he said that will be on the back burner and probably until this fall. And of course, that will go before the Planning Commission, which ultimately needs to be approved, by the council, village council.
Right.
Speaking of village council, there's an election coming up. And
Really?
It'll be soon, won't it?
That's right. Now, are any people on the village, are they part of this August primary, or is this just the township?
The village people will be on the November ballot, November 8th.
Really? When are they coming?
When are they coming?
The village people.
Well, you mean the Oxford Village
Oh, well. So much for
Yeah.
YMCA.
Pretty much, yeah, that's it. But for the township people, you folks are voting, it'll be on the primary, which
Okay.
is August 6th, which is right around the corner here. August 2nd. I mean.
November is right around the corner.
August 2nd.
That's
I
the
said
big one.
August 6th. All you people that are voting against me, show up August 6th.
He'd be running fast.
Right? It'll be August 2nd. So anyway, they said that they had received the draft of the OCTV promotional video. Did you know they were doing a promotional for DDA?
I understood they were asking for one, yeah.
Okay, well, I think they have, of course, a preliminary all set ready for
Oh,
them.
well then.
So that information was given out to the other members of this particular board. So they're going to review it. And
I'm
if
sure
there's any
our
changes.
A-team has produced something to be really respected and
Yeah.
wondered about.
Yeah. By the way, we do a lot of promos, that kind of thing. Here.
That's right.
So, also we do support for kids that are going on to college, in terms of sports programs, scholarships, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So, a lot of neat things going on here, and we'll tell you more when we come back right after this. Yeah, we can.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Hi, I'm Elgin Nichols, and we're back at Minutes by Minutes.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we were just talking about Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority,
Yep.
DDA.
DDA.
Yep. And
Mr. Frost.
Right. And after Mr. Frost was finished with his report, Frost finished? He wasn't finished. He was for the next part. Anyway, we'll go on. Concerts in the park, he did discuss that. And of course, getting back to the chairman, Mr. Schultz, he said, well, let's look at the Treasury. How many bills do we have? And Ed Hunwick said, well, the bills this month they would be at $18,384.49. Okay, so that was approved because all the preliminaries.
And there's still money in the coffer.
Still money in the coffer. And
All
wait till I
right.
tell you more. Ed Hunwick said, for example, that they're $35,300 less than what was budgeted in terms of what was spent.
Ah,
You know,
who got cut?
I don't know, but that was effective in June. You know, to the end of June. Also, he said that makes a cash balance of $252,000
Whoa.
in the bank. So that's pretty good
Yeah,
turnaround.
a few years ago, they would have rejoiced.
Oh yeah, they were digging a hole because it was pretty deep.
That's right.
But they have made a terrific comeback, I think.
Red has turned to black.
Yep. Now, the other thing that came up is Ed Hunwick said, well, one thing I want to bring up under new business, and he said that is that I think that Joe Frost should get an increase. He said, I've checked other locations on people.
Is that more money or more hours?
More money. Could be. I don't think it's any more hours because actually Joe is working,
I know.
40 hours plus. And he doesn't charge for it, he's salary. And that question came up too in a discussion, with the members. They said, well, salary, if he works over, does he get overtime? And they said, no, he don't get overtime. And they said, well, salary people don't get overtime. Well, excuse me, they do if they're what? If they're non-exempt.
Exempt.
Non-exempt.
They're non-exempt.
Yep, if they're
And there's new
non-exempt.
rules coming up that
Yep.
will change the landscape
It will.
for a lot of businesses.
You want to tell us more?
No.
Okay.
Because I forgot what that magic number was.
Okay. All right. Here's somebody speaking about digging a hole. He just did.
I think it's less than $45,000 a year.
Yeah.
If you make less than that, then you're non-exempt. You're technically an hourly employee.
Right. Well, interesting. A lot of companies, if you are hourly, for example, or you are non-exempt, if you're in a management position, then you become exempt. Usually in corporations, they'll make you exempt,
Yeah.
which means you get a fancy title and same pay, probably. Very
Although
little increase.
that magic number will stand hard even if you're in charge of people.
Sure. It works really well until they have what do they call it? A downsizing.
No, they
They go after middle
that's not
management. Are you
politically.
talking about-
That's not politically correct. They call it right sizing.
Oh, right sizing? Okay. Anyhow, it could happen to you if you're middle management. Anyway, that's a whole different subject. Let's get back to this thing. So he said that this would be a good thing to give them an increase. And they said, well, what are you thinking? He says, well, I think maybe 20%. And so one of the commissioners, he said, 20%, that's an awful lot. What are we using as far as a gauge?
How long has he been on the job?
About a year, a little less than a year. Actually, his review comes up in January.
Oh,
So this is a little fast, but everybody's obviously very pleased with him. But there is a procedure in order to,
don't lose your
do
head
the
on this
review
one.
and everything. Right. They did that in the last DDA that they had, and of course had to discontinue that. So they don't want that to happen again. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, there were a couple of comments about that, and felt that there should be guidelines, gauges, and how well did he do, as far as his performance, for that period.
Metrics.
Metrics, yeah, you know a thing or two about that, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, that's probably what's going to happen. They've kind of tabled this, but most of them felt that he should probably be increased to about $5,000. He's getting $45,000 a year, or $40,000 a year right now. So I don't know if he wants to discuss this on the air, but
That will make him exempt.
making $45,000. But anyway, I guess other people that do the same type of work in other communities, get paid, quite a bit more than what.
In similar
what he's getting
communities of equal size,
Yeah.
and fortune.
Yep, and I don't want to hold this, Joe Frost is doing a very good job, and they all commented in that way too. Next thing they talked about is the plan for the village master plan. And one of the things in the master plan is that they're going to review various roads, which we talked about before. It's going to be 5 years from now, the M24 or the M24.
Doesn't make any
Washington
difference
Street.
what year you talk about. It's always 5 years from now.
Well, this one is definitely 5 years out according to MDOT.
yeah.
But anyway, they're looking to put one-way streets and red lights out and so forth. And they had talked about on Denison and M24 putting a one-way street and a light. And Bill Dunn said, whoa, wait a minute. He said, I don't like that idea
Why,
at
does
all.
he live on Denison?
He lives on Denison. He said, I don't like that one at all. And I'm sure he can come up with a lot of people who would agree. And so
Me first, right?
right. And so the point was that MDOT engineers actually will put together a whole engineering project, which is involved. And then they will come to the community and they'll actually provide meetings as to, what their proposal is, where the lights should be, what they're going to do in terms of lanes and that kind of thing. And then, the residency will have their opportunity to input at that point. Now that's the same process, of course, that MDOT used at one of my businesses north. So I was involved in that whole process. So
How'd that go?
it went really well. Yeah. They wanted to do a certain cut. MDOT says you need this cut into this business, and I said no, I require this cut. So we
Sounds like your
negotiated.
business.
Yeah. So we negotiated, and we ended up with my cut.
Oh,
So it worked out all right. So you folks out there, if you come to these meetings, like he pointed out, you do have a pretty good input in this.
is
in
Oxford
this way.
Township involved in this?
Oxford Township will be involved because this whole area is township,
Right,
as well as village. So both will be involved.
So what will be the extent, north and south on 24, of their whole operation?
Well, here's the thing. You're talking about the impact.
No, just where they're going to start and where they're
Well,
going
they're
to
going
end.
to start, I think, near
Drainer?
Drainer and work in this direction through town,
Okay, up to Myers,
up to Myers,
or
probably.
so, or maybe.
Or close
yeah.
to, well, just, yeah, to that area.
Roughly thereafter.
And they're going to be doing the roads beyond that too, as you know. And you can see all the orange barrels out there.
Well, they're doing that right now.
Yeah,
Right
right.
after they patch the thing, now they're going to resurface it.
Oh, that makes sense. Someone who
Does
made
it?
a government decision, it worked out really well. See what I mean about going to these meetings?
Must have had extra money in the budget.
Yeah, yeah. They said, hey, let me see. We're not going to use this for water.
We'll
and
do it,
We're
and
gonna
then
do-"
we'll redo it.
So anyway, it's going to work out good for us to make a nice road. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's what went on at the DDA meeting. They talked about a special conference that was available to the director, and they approved it, so he'll be going to a conference. And they're going to have a Main Street session, two of them actually in September. They haven't really put the actual date or where it's going to be yet, but the
Probably-
public will be invited to
But
that.
probably not Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Probably not. With that, we'll be back right after this, folks. Where? Did you say Moose?
Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
There's a lot of history to Oxford. Hidden around every corner, deep in every crack, and sometimes right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you just dig a little, you'll find the great history of our beautiful town. Welcome to Historic Oxford.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we have just wrapped up DDA, put a cute
Yep.
little bow on it, set it aside, right?
Bringing up yet another meeting.
Right. The meeting would be the Village of Oxford Planning Commission meeting. And interesting enough, Jack...
This is Village of Oxford.
Village of Oxford, right. The normal chairman that would be in charge of this particular committee was John Duval, and he wasn't there. And he was excused absence. Gary Deek also was absent at this meeting. But Commissioner, I guess it would be, Stanley, she didn't call in, so she wasn't excused.
Oh.
Bad, shame.
So
Maybe
did
she
they
had a
have a
good
meeting?
reason. Yeah, they did have a meeting.
How many people were there?
Well, Jack Curtis was there. Of course, Jack is the, what do they call it, pro tem?
Okay.
So he sits in the chair, when John Duvall is
Otherwise known as Vice.
Vice Chair, yep. And Douglas, let me see, Mr. Douglas was there, the new guy that they just put on, and Mr. Johnson, the other new guy,
Okay.
and Helmuth was there, Maureen.
Okay.
So they did have a forum. However, there were a number of things that they discussed that they decided not to vote on because of the lack of a full board sitting there.
Can we table that?
They did. Okay, but there were a number of things that they did have to cover in this meeting. They did the pledge, same as they usually do, and of course the agenda, they covered that if there's anything new. They went over the minutes and approved all those items. And let me see, correspondence, is there any correspondence? No notes around rocks thrown in windows or anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so no correspondence. They said, are there any presentations? Guess what? No presentations.
Really?
And
Were they expecting one?
Well, usually they do, and the board just sighed.
We're getting out of here early,
To do
folks.
that. So, and that's what they were looking at, I think. Old business. Any old business out there? Well, okay. They said, remember the restaurant thing that they want to put outdoor restaurant seating?
Oh,
In the
oh,
wintertime? with
in the
Frosties?
wintertime.
Yeah, with Frosties and all that stuff.
And
And also,
Frosties, hot chocolate.
hot chocolate. And it also involves the summertime,
Oh,
So
of
they're
course.
looking at the whole ordinance thing at this point. So with that, they actually set that aside temporarily.
Let's table that one.
Yeah, they did table it. Commissioner said that since everybody's not there, they want all the commissioners to read the information on it that they recently received, and
Okay.
then base their decision with the help of support of the others.
Okay.
Makes good sense.
Yeah, it
really.
does.
Okay. If you're going to take the blame, you want the rest of the people to join you, right? You do. Okay.
Fingers pointing in all directions.
They could be, yes. This is a pretty good group, though, and actually Jack Curtis, he also sits on several boards for the township. Very knowledgeable about codes and ordinances, in the township and in the village, as well as state codes. In my discussions with him,
Good to have a
uniform
deep
codes.
bench.
Yep. And so, by the way, with the election, Jack should be one of those people sitting on that board, I think.
Oh.
That's my own personal
Is he running?
opinion. Yeah, I don't know if I can endorse somebody, but that I'm running against. But I would like to do that with Jack.
Don't run against him, run with him.
Right. I like his ability to have a background that's strong
Mm-hmm.
to make decisions, and he's not afraid to speak up, which is a good thing. Okay. With that being said, that's enough for you, Jack. Any additional old business? They did cover that on the outdoor seating, and it's been, as I said, tabled. Medical marijuana.
Oh, no.
Can you say smoking?
Oh, no. Not
Okay.
again.
Yeah, it came up again. And,
Dipping it in, and wringing it out.
Chris Corey, the consultant, with McKenna and Associates, was there.
Okay.
And he said, actually, the legislation hasn't moved. Yeah, if you were to watch a snail move, that's kind of what the state is doing with this.
Marijuana will do that to you.
It will do that. I think there's a few of them maybe that are, they have to sober up before they can move on. I'm not sure. You want to spread that rumor?
The wheels,
You're the rumor spreader.
the wheels of government mince very slowly.
Right. So anyway, he did say that there are several communities that have already enacted ordinances, but he thinks that a couple of them may be violating, what the state act will actually require down the line.
They used their crystal balls to try to figure out what the state was going to do.
They do. And, to give credit, to Oxford, they said, well, let's see what the state's going to require us to
Absolutely.
do before we do anything, provide any ordinances, regulations.
Yeah, why spend the money reinventing another wheel?
That makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Especially if the wheel's flat on all four sides.
Well.
Not a good thing.
Clunk.
So anyway, so this should work out pretty well. So they actually did set this aside to also until information is available, through the state. Right?
Right.
Okay. Jack Curtis said no action at this time, so it was. He gavel, it was done.
There seems to be a lot of not doing anything.
Well, they're kind of limited here. I mean,
I
they
know.
have their hands tied
I
behind
know.
their
I
backs.
know.
They don't have everybody here. Let me see. Changes to the master plan. There was suggestions to be made to the master plan, but they need a full board in order to make those decisions too.
Table that one.
We'll table that one. Yep. And so was it. So it was. It went there. Whatever they did.
Hey, show up next time, guys.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They probably had good reasons.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, maybe they had to weed the lawn, or water the flowers, or whatever.
Wrong face of the moon.
Right. So it was set aside. Public comment. No public comment. Actually, very little public at this one, I think.
So Dave Weckel wasn't at this meeting?
No,
Oh,
Dave
okay.
wasn't there.
Okay.
No, he wasn't apparently ready, for his final site plan.
Okay.
So, but you'll hear from him soon enough. He's, pretty proficient usually.
Yep.
Note, next meeting will be August 2nd, they said. Oh, by the way, August 2nd, that's election day. Are you sure you want to have a meeting that day? So they did discuss it, and they said, well, maybe we shouldn't have it, because most people probably won't show up
Oh, that's
for this
true.
meeting. And they said, well, let's check with each of the commissioners and see if they can make it. If they can't make it, then we're going to change the date on it. We'll do that internally and notify everybody. Joe Young says it could be under economic development grant for easements. That was the next subject they talked about on the master plan. Because there's no money, he said, at this point for any easements that you might do for these street changes and so forth. So he said that may come under economic development grant for the Minnetonka program. And by the way, Minnetonka, let me get back to that one again. They're looking for a shortcut for trucks like KTMS to rather go down Glassby Street, cut over to Glassby Street.
And then go down Glassby Street.
No, and then come back through Minnetonka, this road
Through
too,
come
through
back
the new
through
road,
Come.
through the new road that's going to link M24 with Glassby Street, which is the Minnetonka.
And where do they go on Glassby Street?
Their business is right around the corner from there, so they just pull right in, and then
So they make a
pull out.
right? beyond
Well,
it?
well, they would go east.
Once they hit Glassby, do they make a right or a
They
left?
make a left, and they'll go right into their location, I believe.
That's an industrial park there.
It is an industrial park, and
Yeah.
it's, it is zoned that way, so there's no way that's going to change. So anyway, so that's one of the plans that they have in the future.
But
But what?
wasn't that also part of the plan for diverting buildup of traffic?
That was under consideration, but I don't know if that's going to be.
Once you call it a road, that's what's going to happen.
The question is, do you want to go down the road with these big trucks now that are going down that road? Might not.
I don't know. A road is a road is a road.
It could be. And speaking of roads down the road, what's coming up?
Well, there are a few things down the road. On 8/2, August already, wow. At 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission. And on 8/6, by the way, 8/6 is the Lone Ranger Parade.
It is. Hi-yo,
Be
Silver.
there, be square.
Hi-yo, Silver.
You betcha. On 8/8 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Zoning Board of Appeals, which may or may not meet, depends. And keep your eyes open. At 7 o'clock that same day, the Village of Leonard Council will be meeting. And on 8/9 at 6:30, I believe, the Village of Oxford Council will be meeting. And at 6 o'clock on Addison Township Zoning Board of Appeals, once again, double check that one. And at also 6:30, the Oxford Board of Education will be meeting in their offices in downtown Oxford.
Yep. I want everybody to drive careful because kids are going to be going back to school soon.
That's right,
Yep. I'm Elgin Eccles.
with their Pokemon Goes. And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you right here next time on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.